My name is Emily Carter. I am 33 years old, from Manchester, England, now living in Maple Grove, Illinois, USA. This story is about how I uncovered a corrupt HOA president and dismantled his little empire piece by piece. What began as a search for peaceful suburban living turned into a battle for fairness, dignity, and justice. My role? A new homeowner turned quiet strategist, determined to bring down a tyrant. When I first moved into Maple Grove, I imagined peaceful walks, friendly neighbors, and quiet weekend mornings. Instead, I felt like I had stepped into a tiny kingdom ruled by a self-appointed monarch. Todd, our HOA president, strutted around as if he owned every lawn, mailbox, and blade of grass in the neighborhood. His smile was polite, but his eyes told a different story. Power was his favorite toy, and he never planned to let go of it. At first, Todd pretended to be charming. He welcomed me like I was a new subject entering his territory. But within a week, I received my first notice. My driveway had a small stain from rainwater dirt, and apparently that violated community standards. It felt absurd, like being fined for breathing too loudly. That's when the whispers from neighbors began. Stories about ridiculous fines, favoritism, and Todd bending rules when it benefited him. What really exposed Todd's hypocrisy wasn't his rules. It was how he ignored them for himself. His fence towered above height limits, his shed wasn't permitted, and his yard looked like a forgotten storage yard. Yet he walked around fining people for flowers planted an inch outside regulation distance. It was laughable and infuriating at the same time, like watching a crooked hall monitor patrol a playground he trashed himself. I tried being civil. My fence stain was slightly off shade because the approved one was out of stock. I explained that, showed receipts, and asked for leniency. Todd didn't even pretend to care. He smirked, leaned back like some bored king, and said, "Rules are rules." That sentence was the spark. I walked away calm, but inside, a fire began to build. Not anger, but resolve. If Todd wanted rules so badly, I'd give him rules. All of them. Revenge isn't loud. Revenge breathes slowly, plans quietly, and waits patiently. So instead of fighting Todd head-on, I smiled and told him I wanted to get involved in the community. He believed me. His ego convinced him I admired his authority. He welcomed me onto the HOA board like a proud emperor recruiting another loyal soldier. But I wasn't his ally. I was his countdown clock. Every meeting I attended was another grain of sand falling against him. For months, I kept my head down. I listened, I watched, I learned. Todd bullied board members, buried anyone who questioned him in paperwork, and scheduled votes when only his loyal pets were present. His rule was subtle tyranny wrapped in homeowner association language. But what truly caught my attention was money. Fees were high, facilities were neglected. Something didn't add up. And Todd's smug confidence? That's what told me there was more beneath the surface. I began requesting financial information, politely at first. Todd waved me off like I was a child, asking how taxes work. "Don't worry," he'd say, grin sharp as a blade. "I've got everything under control." That phrase echoed in my head. Control. That's what he loved most. But when someone guards numbers too fiercely, they aren't protecting order. They're hiding secrets. And secrets leave trails. Legally, he had to share records if a board member requested them. He ignored me for weeks, then months. I didn't push publicly. That wasn't my stage yet. Instead, I visited neighbors, casual conversations over fences and driveways. Soon, patterns emerged. Many had requested financial reports in the past. None received anything. And rumors swirled about thousands missing, contractor friends paid too much, and Todd's home improvements appearing right after HOA fee increases. Todd thought he was safe. He thought everyone would eventually give up. the way people usually do when faced with petty authority. But what he didn't know was that I thrive on details. I am patient, and I do not quit. Every missing receipt was a breadcrumb. Every delayed response was a confession hidden in silence. His arrogance wasn't just a flaw, it was the rope he had wrapped around his own neck. After months of pressure, he finally handed over documents, sloppy, incomplete, and leaking red flags, strange vendor names, inflated maintenance charges, bizarre administrative fees. This wasn't mismanagement. It was theft disguised as incompetence. I felt a calm rush, not excitement, but clarity. Todd wasn't just a bully, he was a criminal, and he had no idea that his quiet observer now held the first pieces of his downfall. In that moment, I understood something powerful. You cannot shout down tyrants. You dismantle them. You study them. You wait until they believe they've already won. Then you pull the ground from under their feet. So I organized my findings, documented every inconsistency, and prepared the foundation of a case. Not for revenge, at least not only revenge, for fairness, for every neighbor he had humiliated, for myself. Todd may have seen me as harmless, a polite new homeowner in a quiet neighborhood, but every dictator forgets one rule: empires fall from within. I was done observing, the curtain was rising, and soon the man who ruled this neighborhood with smug smiles and threats would learn that the quietest people often strike the loudest blows. Phase 1 was complete. Next came exposure. Todd didn't know it, but the moment those sloppy documents hit my hands, his empire began to crumble. I spent nights at my dining table, pages spread like a battlefield, highlighting suspicious payments and scribbling notes. The more I read, the darker it became. Phantom companies, invoices with no service dates, and numbers that felt stitched together by someone desperate to hide truth under layers of arrogance and greed. One expense stood out immediately: a $15,000 landscaping contract. Yet the neighborhood bushes looked like they hadn't seen a professional in years. I searched the company name, expecting a mediocre website. Instead, I found nothing. No business license, no reviews, just digital dust. It felt like staring into the hollow shell of a lie. That's when the truth crystallized. Todd wasn't sloppy. He was stealing, quietly and confidently. I built spreadsheets, logging every payment, comparing dates, flagging repeated vendor names that never showed proof of work. Each discovery was satisfying in a chilling way, like pulling bricks from the foundation of a castle one by one. Todd had weaponized bureaucracy, believing confusion would protect him. But numbers don't lie. Patterns always reveal themselves to those patient enough to see the threads behind chaos. Sometimes I paused, wondering how long he thought he could get away with it. Did he start small? A few misdirected dollars here and there? Or did greed swallow him all at once, convincing him he deserved luxury funded by neighbors just trying to live in peace? Corruption never feels sudden. It creeps in like a whisper, rewarding every unethical choice until guilt becomes silent and arrogance becomes loud. I kept attending board meetings, calm and smiling, while my binder thickened with proof. Todd never suspected. He basked in his authority, convinced everyone admired him. He made snide jokes about nosy homeowners and bragged about how much stress he carried as president. Every word he spoke felt like another confession he didn't realize he was giving, strengthening the case I was quietly building behind closed doors. I filed second and third formal requests for complete financial transparency. Todd began sweating at meetings, wiping his forehead with a frustrated hand, pretending printers were broken or files misplaced. Watching panic spread in his eyes was like watching ice crack beneath someone who pretended they were walking on marble. The more he stalled, the sharper my focus became. Fear makes guilty men sloppy. I never raised my voice. I simply asked questions he didn't want asked. The silence afterward wasn't hostility. It was a storm waiting for thunder. Neighbors began noticing his tremors, his rushed explanations, his sudden inability to maintain that smug composure. He tried charm, then intimidation, then dismissiveness. Each attempt only tightened the noose he had woven himself, thread by fraudulent thread. Truth has a strange weight. It feels heavy when you carry it alone, yet powerful when you know its moment is coming. I wasn't hunting Todd out of cruelty. I wanted fairness. I wanted dignity back for homeowners who just wanted normal lives without fear of petty punishments. But justice sometimes requires patience so deep it feels like standing still while the earth moves beneath your feet. Eventually, I had enough. Emails, bank records, payment histories, neighbor statements, every line of evidence fit together like a puzzle carved by greed and arrogance. Todd never imagined someone would invest time to trace every cent. But when you hurt people, someone always emerges willing to do the work others avoid. I closed the binder one night and exhaled slowly. His time was officially measured, and he didn't even know. The next step wasn't confrontation. It was preparation. I rehearsed everything, printed multiple evidence copies, and made digital backups in case Todd tried anything desperate. Power breeds panic, and panic breeds stupidity. I was ready for him to slip. But truthfully, he never questioned me. His arrogance was my shield. There's a special silence before a fall, the kind where the sky holds its breath. Before the annual meeting, I visited homes again. This time, I didn't need to convince anyone. I simply asked if they were coming. Eyes lit up. People whispered like revolution was blooming in flower beds and across backyard fences. When communities suffer long enough, unity forms not through speeches, but through shared exhaustion and quiet courage. We weren't neighbors that week. We were witnesses sharpening truth together. The night before the meeting, I sat at my kitchen table, binder closed, tea steaming beside me. Outside, porch lights glowed softly across peaceful lawns, lawns Todd believed he ruled. I didn't feel nervous. I felt ready. Tomorrow wasn't a confrontation. It was a reveal. And for the first time since moving here, I felt like the neighborhood finally belonged to us, not to the man who mistook power for ownership. The evening of the HOA meeting arrived like a quiet tremor beneath the earth. I walked in holding my binder, not as a weapon, but as a promise. The room, usually half empty, buzzed with neighbors who had grown tired of whispered frustrations and rigid rules disguised as order. Todd sat at the front, chest puffed like a proud rooster, unaware the sun was rising on a day that would not belong to him. Todd opened the meeting as always, his voice syrup-sweet, pretending to be everyone's benevolent leader. He spoke of responsibility, community standards, and integrity, words that soured the air with hypocrisy. As he talked, I watched his eyes dart nervously over the unusually large crowd. He felt it, like an animal sensing a storm before it breaks. But arrogance kept him smiling, blind to the tide rising behind him. When he paused, I stood. "I have questions about the financial statements," I said, my voice steady and calm. Todd stiffened, irritation flickering like a match ready to burn. He tried dismissing me with a wave. "This isn't the time," he muttered. But his power was slipping, and I wasn't alone anymore. From the back, someone called, "Let her speak." Then another. Frustration had become unity, and unity demanded truth. I opened the binder and began distributing copies of my report across the room. Pages rustled like wings spreading before flight. Here are records of unauthorized payments, non-existent contractors, and personal expenses labeled as community improvements, I announced. Todd's face drained of color, fear leaking through his once polished exterior. He reached to grab the papers, desperate, but it was too late. Truth had already changed hands. Neighbors read in stunned silence. Then whispers rose, sharp as broken glass. He stole from us. All this time. My fines, my fees. Todd sputtered excuses, printer errors, contractor misunderstandings, procedural confusion. His voice cracked under the weight of his lies unraveling. Arrogance had been his armor, but now it lay shattered beneath the simplest force of all. Truth, spoken calmly in a room no longer afraid. I made one final request. I motioned to remove Todd as HOA president effective immediately. For a breath, silence held the world still. Then voices filled with resolve spoke in unison. I. Hands rose like a tide, sweeping away years of intimidation in one collective motion. Todd's power dissolved not in flames, but in quiet voices tired of being stepped on. The vote was unanimous. His crown shattered without a single shout. Todd resigned that night, his shoulders sagging under the weight of a kingdom he'd built on lies. He walked out silently, avoiding every eye in the room. The triumph wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Justice rarely arrives as thunder. Sometimes it's a quiet door closing behind the man who thought he ruled forever. In that silence, peace began returning to our neighborhood like fresh air after a storm. Once he was gone, we brought in auditors who confirmed everything. Over $50,000 stolen, repairs neglected, fees inflated. We filed the police report and civil claim. Soon after, Todd sold his house to pay legal costs, his name forever stained in county records. The house that once symbolized his control now belonged to a warm family who brought children's laughter and new beginnings to the block he once ruled. We rebuilt the HOA with checks and balances, term limits, open budgets, and digital transparency. Fees dropped, community events returned, and neighbors who once avoided each other now exchanged smiles and stories. Peace didn't arrive because Todd left. It arrived because people remembered their power when they stood together. Justice isn't revenge. Justice is restoration. And we restored more than rules. We restored dignity. Now, when I walk past Todd's old home, I don't think of him at all. I think of strength, patience, and the quiet fire inside everyday people who refuse to be pushed down. Sometimes battles aren't fought with noise. They are fought with documents, persistence, and calm belief in what's right. Power earned through manipulation fades. Power earned through courage endures. And this neighborhood finally belongs to its people again.